Let's talk about New York State. So you go up against Governor Hochul. I think she wins by 5.7%. I don't know what the number is, 5.7, 5.8. She spent $60 million. She got 3 million votes. That's $20 a vote, if I'm not mistaken, give or take the numbers. And then every day when we were watching, we're like, whoa, Lee is coming up. And then every time you're like, oh, this is getting closer. This is getting closer until the day. People were sitting there saying there could be a massive surprise today of you beating her. And it would have been a historic victory for that to have taken place. So respect you for your fight because you kept fighting and you came out of nowhere. But now today, a lot of people would say, well, you know, if that was the case, it should be a lot closer. And the name we keep hearing about is Stefanik. She's a fighter. She's tough. You know, she probably went viral. One of the first times was she went and called out the president of one of the universities. I don't know if it was Columbia or Harvard, but it was one of them that she went strongly like, I like this girl's fight. And she's young, she's attractive, she's well-spoken. But the polls are saying Stefanik is behind by 20 points. And this is Siena, which Siena is a 50-50 poll. It's not like it's some of the polls that you trust a little bit more. But still, what is the likelihood that New York State could flip and be a Republican?
So two things. One is being in my current position because of the Hatch Act, there's certain very candid thoughts that I'm not able to share. There's one other point is that I can't ever and I won't ever get ahead of the president while in this position. You know, if the president hasn't endorsed in a race or he hasn't said or have gotten particular guidance, I'm following his lead on all political races everywhere. With all that being said, even though I said earlier that the state was 22% Republican, you just pointed out we got just under 50% of the vote. That doesn't happen unless there are a whole lot of people who are not Republican who have decided enough is enough. They've hit their breaking point and they want to save the state. I mean, that was something that I was talking about a lot then, and that's a lot that you're hearing now. And basically you have over 60 counties in this state. What we did was we had a vocal in every single county, broken down by party. And we knew that we couldn't get any less than 30% in New York City. If we get less than 30%, we have no shot of winning. If we get more than 35% of the vote in New York City, depending on how far above 35%, the math starts flipping the other way. It starts to become really difficult or impossible to lose. We ended up spending a very disproportionate amount of our time for the general election inside of New York City to get to the 30%. And I think that it would have been a lot better if we were able to get to 35 and I could have spent a lot more time throughout the rest of the state. What we found in 2022 was that upstate, the number one issue was the economy. The number two issue was crime and public safety. Downstate, the number one issue was crime and public safety. The number two issue was the economy. And across the entire state, messaging, cashless bail. And every time there was there was some kind of crazy criminal incident, which was like every day inside of New York City, you can count on the next morning I was going to be there at that particular location talking about how our policies would have prevented it. If we implemented, this is how things would get better. And then we weighed in on other issues as well. The money is also important to raise name recognition. Like if you see some polls come out now, like Hochul is the governor. She's been the governor now for 4 years. More people know who she is. By the way, I feel like more people who know her, the more they dislike her. So the disapproval number has risen as well. So it cuts both ways. Mm-hmm. More name ID, but also more disapproval. Over the course of a campaign, it starts with structure. At the beginning, you put together the right team, you set the right vocals, you raise the funds that you need, you figure out what your messaging is going to be. I remember the start of my campaign in April of 2021. I would get asked on my announcement day, I did a lot of media interviews. They say, what's the top 3 issues? And I was talking about these top 3 issues at that moment based off of what the voters were saying are their top 3 issues. If you asked me at the end of the campaign, what are the top 3 issues of the campaign? I would have said, and I did say, whatever the top 3 issues are of the people. And what happens too often, and Hochul was doing this during the campaign in 22, she was saying that the top 3 issues were whatever she wanted the top 3 issues to be based on her polling. So while she was talking about abortion and Trump, I'm talking about crime in the economy. And I'm talking about what is the number one issue for 75% of the voters, and for many of them, the number one and number two issue. And not only are we winning on those issues, she's ceding them to me. She's not even talking about them. So we get to a debate in October, late October, and we're having this back and forth over crime. And you probably remember this. She's like, I don't understand why this is so important to you. And like, the audience heard that. I didn't even have to respond. I'm like, wow, okay, that speaks for itself. And then they moved on to another topic, and she got hit for it. So message is important, and substance, and having policy and ideas, and your style on the trail, and hard work. There's a saying in New York, by the way, to Schumer's credit, there's something called the full Schumer. You go to every county in New York State in 1 year. And it's something that he's prided himself in for a very long time. Well, in the first 6 months of the campaign, I went to every county twice. So, I'll tell Schumer, give him a hard time, rib him. I'll tell him that's called the full Zeldin, which is twice as much in half the time. And that pays off. So you also have to work real hard. So I think that there's a lot in answering the question as far as like, where is this going to go looking forward? Mm-hmm. I think it's very informative also to analyze what happened in 22, the lay of the land, how voters reacted, what the issues were. I think there are a lot of lessons learned there.
Yeah. Is this the clip, Rob, where it says, I don't know why locking up criminals is so important to you? Is this it?
Yep.
I'd love to see it. Go for it.
Declare a crime emergency and suspend cashless bail and these other pro-criminal laws because there is a crime emergency. My opponent thinks that right now there's a polio emergency going on, but there's not a crime emergency. Different priorities that I'm hearing from people right now, they're not being represented from this governor, who still, to this moment, we're halfway through the debate, she still hasn't talked about locking up anyone committing any crimes.
Okay.
Anyone who commits a crime under our laws, especially with the change they made to bail, has consequences. I don't know why that's so important to you. All I know is that we could do more.
Well, when I said that we
could do
should
more.
remove
Excuse me, I'm speaking.
Sure, go ahead.
We could do so much more. If there was a nationwide ban, but certainly a state ban on teenagers being able to get guns, assault weapons. I mean, that's what happened in Buffalo. A teenager walked into a shop and was able to buy an assault weapon, the kind you use on military battlefields. It happened just yesterday in St. Louis. When are we going to start talking about the crimes that are the most frightening? And that's murders and shootings, which across this country are down about 2%. New York State, because we worked so hard on this since I became governor, they're down 14%, down 18% on Long Island.
Mrs. Hochul.
I don't know why it's just so hard to articulate what needs to get done. When you have a district attorney refusing to enforce...
That's pretty wild to say. I don't know why locking up criminals is so important to you. So it's interesting to me because you said issues, right? So whatever is the issues of the people instead of whatever is the issue of the individual, which is her. To me, she is slightly a better candidate than Kamala Harris because she can actually deliver her message. Unlike Kamala, Kamala doesn't know how to deliver the message, but she's not a very likable candidate. It's not like people like her. You were very liked when you were coming up, and that was the way on a national stage because governor of New York is a national thing. It's not like it's governor of Arkansas or governor of Oklahoma. And nothing wrong with these states, but there are certain states that when you compete, everybody's paying attention. And I get the fact that you can't give commentary on Stefanik and get ahead of it with the president. I fully agree. When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury, we had the choice to make it fast. We had the choice to make it cheap. We chose neither. Instead, we chose Tuscany, Italy. We chose true Italian craftsmanship, each pair touched by 50 skilled hands. We chose patience, spending 2 years perfecting every detail, and we chose the finest quality at every step. Introducing the Future Looks Bright collection. Not rushed, not disposable, not ordinary. Rather, intentional, luxurious, timeless. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.